Hello, warriors. Bebe here with another story time ish. Okay. Today's topic, I feel like I need some help with this. So I have my sister on here. She's going to be off camera, but she's going to be interviewing me, asking me questions as I just kind of, again, open up my life to share. So this isn't going to be describing like one specific incident or incidences of that sort, but it's just to kind of give like a general overview as to, what life is looking like for me right now, especially with regards to this topic. And so I'm very excited to share with you guys so that, this can be a healing space for all of us. We can have sister time and, really just fellowship together, especially on this topic. So I can't wait to jump right into it, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Today's topic is the streets are calling my name, right? Discussing what safe, healthy, pleasure forward sex looks like. And take it from me, for someone who was denied that for like much of my life. Um, I am still learning. So I'm by no means an expert, by the way, but I am happy to be able to just kind of share a little of what it is that I know now that I believe that I have, experienced what some of that actually looks like. So this is a story time-ish. Um, so let's just get right into it because me, I'm excited. So y'all sit back, relax. Let's get into it. Okay.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit
I
about...
think you need to say hello to my people first.
Oh, hi guys, Toro here, off camera on the other side, behind the scenes, just asking the questions and eliciting the answers and the info for you guys.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your sexual background before and then during your marriage?
Okay, so for my AW stand here, you already know the answer to this question, but I guess I would have to repeat it on here for my enclave people. So, I was a virgin for like till like well into my 20s, like until the age of like 26. Because, having grown up a certain way, uber religious, became even more so religious, when I was in college. And, that was just the messaging that I got, the purity culture of church. We all know about that. So it was this whole, you don't have sex before you get married. You keep it, you hold it for your husband, this one, that one. And so that was the vibe that I took on. And so because of that, I would say I was off the scene, especially in college when everybody's out there meeting people outside in the streets, if you will. I stayed in. In fact, I was barely outside. If I was outside, it was on my way to go to church, not really mingling or doing other things. And so with that, I was extremely excited to get married because I wanted to also enjoy this aspect of my life that I felt I had to deny myself for so long. Um, and so basically my history was zero sex, barely anything else. I'd never even, done, how some people don't have sex, but then they do other things. I didn't even know what those other things were. I had never done them before. So I was very, very green, if I'm being very honest, very green, very naive as to what sex could be like or should look like, or, the many different ways sex can present. So that was that. And then I meet this person, we date long distance for about 4 years. And then we get married. And I was, I don't even know what to say. Like, I am struggling to find the words. to describe what sex while I was married was like, but I think I'll borrow the words from my podcast when I say sex was underwhelming and traumatic. Even just from that very first night alone, and especially a girl like me, such a Disney head, you watch all these movies, there's all this fantasizing about the wedding night. It was a painful, bloody affair with very little, barely any foreplay. And I paid for it in the end, like so much so that we had to order ice. And it was so embarrassing from like, concierge or, because it was a hotel that we stayed in. They brought a bucket of ice because down there was on fire. It was painful. So yeah, it was rough. And it is sad that that almost kind of set the tone for what the entirety of my sex life would look like while I was married, which again, people may find shocking because I have 3 children. I had 3 children within 5 years. And I always say this in response that, look, thank God, women don't need to orgasm to have children. If not, we wouldn't have a population crisis in this world. Like, if orgasms were necessary, please, we'll be fine. So, yeah, sex was often it was clear that it wasn't about my pleasure. It was clear that my body was really just a conduit to be used by someone else for their own pleasure. There was hardly ever any prepping on me. And especially in the very first year where I struggled with vaginismus, I was always met with like impatience and just the shaming of, why is your body like this? Why can't you just relax? Very, very painful sex. And for those of you who know, I got pregnant in my very first year of being married, and I struggled also with hyperemesis gravidarum. And so there was just very little sensitivity or care as to my own well-being, my own ability to even show up in a sexual space and be present and, have healthy, loving, enjoyable sex. It was just clear my body was being used, and it was to remain open for business for whenever this person wanted to have sex. It didn't really matter what my own state of mind or the state of what the state of my body was like. So, honestly, it was very tough for me, and it's what colored sex and made sex feel it wasn't nice. It didn't please me, and my body shut down from it and even became repulsed by it. So much so that I had even shared with my husband then that, look, this whole sex thing, it always feels like you want it all the time, and I don't really want you to do it to me. You're always complaining about, the mismatch in our appetite. You keep trying to force me to have sex with other people. You keep trying to force me to allow you have sex with other people. He had brought up this term called a sex surrogate. He said he wants to have a sex surrogate that, since we have, the support of a nanny taking care of our children, then I shouldn't have any issues with him having a sex surrogate taking care of his needs. Like, just making all sorts of excuses, but bottom line, painting me as the problem and as the one with the issue with sex. And in that time, because I hadn't had any other sexual experiences, I wrongly was taking on the shame and feeling like maybe I am the problem. And so that's when I stumbled on the ACE community, and I just started to think that, maybe I am ACE, and, ACE basically means it's the A in the LGBTQIA acronym, and ACE stands for asexual. So these are people that aren't really, and even being asexual too, it falls on a spectrum. So there are those who are asexual and don't want to have sex, don't ever want to have sex, but they and also don't want to be in any partnership with other people. There are some people who do want to be in partnerships and but don't want to be having sex with their partner, but they're happy to be romantically involved with their partner. There are those who want to be in partnerships and, don't necessarily want to have sex for themselves, but they're open to having sex with their partner because it is what pleases their partner. So just think along those lines, there are many different expressions of what it means to be asexual. So in that time, and this is sometime in 2021, I started to think, okay, maybe I am asexual. But, of course I'm married. I'm not going to tell my husband that I'm not going to have sex with him. So for myself, I guess I don't want to have sex, but I am open. I will certainly, want to make myself available to my husband. That's what I was thinking at the time. But I just certainly started to feel very strongly that maybe that is why I was being frustrated in this arena and why I just felt like I couldn't really enjoy sex, So I've said all of that to say that by the time I was escaping my marriage, right, I had just had a baby. I had 2 young ones with me as well. Sex was the furthest thing from my mind. But I guess I had almost just wrongly assumed that, I was possibly, asexual and was somewhere on the spectrum, somewhere along the lines on that spectrum. It wasn't until I got back into therapy and was addressing some of the trauma that I had carried, with me from my marriage that it was now further revealed that not only am I not asexual, but that my body had actually simply shut down from some of the traumatic experiences that I had endured in the hands of my partner, especially in the sexual arena. For those of you who have listened to my podcast, episode 7 and episode 8 gets down to the nitty-gritty of some of the ways in which I was actually assaulted in that arena. And so I encourage you to get into those episodes and listen. Full trigger warnings, by the way. Take care of yourself before you listen to those episodes. But that's what then eventually came out from me. And, as much as I, of course, have no issue being a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, it's a community that I support, that I'm very much happy to be associated with. It turned out that for me in particular, that actually wasn't even the case. It was simply a trauma response that I had been trying to manage all this while.
So you escaped from your abusive marriage. You had 3 young children. You're fighting legal battles. I'm assuming sex was like the furthest thing from your mind. But now you say you're in the streets, or the streets are calling your name. So, what was that journey like, going from celibacy to prowling the streets?
Oh God, prowling. Oh my God. Yeah. So as you guys know, I was thrown into full survival mode on escaping my abusive marriage. Being met with all sorts of craziness and chaos left, right, and center wasn't fun. At the same time, fully all hands on deck, caring for my 3 young children and showing up fully present as a mom for them. Sex was clearly the furthest thing from my mind. As well, I'm taking care of myself. I'm attending to my needs, health wise, physically. I'm in therapy. I'm working through all the trauma that I had packed on over the course of the 5-year marriage that I was in. And so where really was the time, right? It took, months, I would say about 9 months or thereabout, to get through all the legal mess that had come out. And, it's still ongoing till now, but I'll say the leg that was happening here in Canada, for that to come to its own resolution. And for those of you who are already aware, my children had to go back to Nigeria while I remained in Canada. So of course, that's another blow too as well that I had to work through and deal with. Sex continued to remain, further from my mind. Um, so I'm not even sure I can even pinpoint when I would say I felt ready, but working through therapy and unpacking these issues, I began to feel myself opening up to take baby steps to see what really was out there in this arena. I have to admit that I felt a little bit shortchanged because, I had felt that, keeping myself until getting married, that I would be guaranteed this happy life, this long, happily ever after. I wouldn't even ever have to contemplate this problem. I'll have my solid partner that I'm, intimate with for the rest of my life. I'm feeling like I'd done all the things that they tell good girls to do, and still my life kind of blew up. So I felt that, what, I do want to take a different approach here. And, I felt very strongly that, I did want to take baby steps into exploring what it is to be a sexual being. Having my 20s, I had spent not doing anything. And, I felt like, what, I'm in my 30s. I have a lot of worldly wisdom now. I feel like this is something that I can approach responsibly, carefully, and in a way that I don't lose myself in. And so I began to just take those little steps. And I'm happy to announce that this is like doing this helped me further open up my eyes to see, oh my goodness, there is a whole world out here of pleasure that I had zero idea about, that I had not been accessing. And it opened me up to see just how much joy I was experiencing in this arena. It's part of what also affirmed my understanding that, oh my goodness, like, I can't believe that bad sex and trauma caused me to believe that, I was ace, it wasn't really something that was authentic to me. It's something that I almost took on as like a covering of protection just because of the situation that I was in before. But now I felt safe and comfortable to put that label down because I had been granted the opportunity of experiences that helped me and helped my body know that I'm enjoying this thing. It's very sweet. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, so how has it been for you so far having sex, discovering your sexuality, and just navigating that side of things and your journey so far?
Sorry guys, I'm struggling to not keep looking at my sister because she's on my left. So if you see my eyes darting that way when she's asking a question, that's why. It has been great. This is something that, because again, these kinds of videos, they're going on the internet. I'm like, okay, should I hold back? Should I not? But look, y'all, I'm here to testify. Glory. I'm here to testify, y'all. Like, it's been great. Like, outside has been outsiding, yo. Like, I didn't realize, how much fun I'll be having out here, how much pleasure I would be accessing out here. And I have to say, like, majority of my experiences they've been positive, and, I think I was telling someone the other day that, like, honestly, where I am coming from, the bar was really, really in hell. Any old kind of experience will actually do. But really and truly, most of my experiences have been really, really great. Some have been okay. But even those okay ones have been better than where I'm coming from. So I'm just happy, to be honest. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to keep learning, to keep exploring. And, I'm just learning how to, make sure that I have my boundaries in place, that they are secure so that I'm kept safe and, I'm not feeling uncomfortable. Because again, that those are one of the issues when you don't have the safety of one specific partner. You do have to be careful out here in how you are navigating being sexual and, your full sexual expression out here with the people that you're having them with.
So, you mentioned something very important there, and that's safety. And as a woman, as a fan in a patriarchal, by default, misogynistic, sexually violent towards women world, how how are you moving in these streets and ensuring your safety as you have sex with men?
Whew. It's tough because again, we know all about the violence against women. Like it really is, it is really the scourge of the earth actually for us to even have to make sure that this is at the forefront of doing something that is so pleasurable and sacred and should be enjoyable for both parties. But the very fact that women and femmes always have to put at the center their own safety is really where the problem is at, and it sucks. And I don't think I don't know, I really don't know what we can do about it. I can only really speak about some of the things that I do to keep myself safe. So number one, I am always sharing my location. I have this on my phone. I put it on and I share my location with the people that care about me, with my loved ones, so they always know where I am. I also, in addition to that, throughout the night, certainly check in, make sure people know that things are going great, things are going well, to make sure that people are updated about my well-being and my safety. And if at any point, in the day, in the night, that things may seemingly be compromised, even if I can't alert people, they can certainly alert like the authorities or anybody who needs to know that, oh, hey, we think something is going on, you need to check in, at this location, blah blah blah. So that's one thing that I do. Another thing is I make sure that I am always comfortable. I check in with my gut. Now, this is something that, I've had to train myself to trust, especially since leaving an abusive relationship. Because when you're in an abusive relationship for a long time, you forget what it's like to trust your guts, to trust your instincts, to see what your spirit is telling you. And since escaping, I've been able to relearn how to trust my gut. And so for me, I do not proceed with anyone that my gut isn't okay with, and I can always change my mind. Even if I've been consenting along the way, the moment I no longer feel safe or comfortable, I exit immediately. And I don't let anybody hold me back or manipulate me into staying or beg me into staying. No. The moment my gut isn't okay, I act immediately. So I suggest that you do the same thing too as well. Keep listening to how your body is reacting to somebody. Even if you've been safe with the person in a previous interaction, if in a second interaction you no longer feel safe, then you no longer feel safe. And you need to exit, you need to leave. Sometimes it might have nothing to do with the person or what the person is doing. Sometimes it might be, but sometimes it has nothing to do with them. But you just always have to learn to or train yourself to listen to how your body is telling you how to feel and obey it immediately. Other things that I do to just try and make myself feel more comfortable, to make myself feel safe, because, this is an area that I was very unsafe in for much of the time from when I became sexual till when I escaped my marriage. I was unsafe in that arena. So I know that for me, I need some extra help to relax and to feel safe. So I have my own playlists that I bring along. I bring candles along. These are things that calm my spirit and calm me down and help me to get into the zone of just enjoying the experience. And I think the final point that I will make is always bring your own protection. You know, some of these people out here, some of these men out here are mad. Okay, a lot of them will try and manipulate you and beg you, and some of them will try and throw a hissy fit.
Or show up empty-handed.
Yeah, or even show up empty-handed and be like, hey, I don't have any. Yeah, sorry, I have. Thank you. Wait, you know, don't even allow any of them try that nonsense with you. Nah, we are not going raw out here. If you're having casual sex, you need to come strapped, okay? And because there's one interaction that I had that, guys, this is a human being that should be walking around with his own condoms, because what he has is irresponsible. Like, this, the size. So when he said he did not bring his own, and then I brought my own, and my own was not the size, I said, oh, no. So now I carry different sizes. Oh yeah, pick your size from here. Don't tell me this one is not your size, you know? So yeah, don't play these games with these people. Come with your own protection, with your own lube, with anything that you need for everything. Come with your own. And if anybody is trying to, you know, slither their way or change up the rules all of a sudden, don't even agree. And in fact, if the person wants to insist, I'll say that's a red flag and get out. Like, leave the person immediately. Don't even stay a second longer. So, yeah.
I think insisting on your comfort and knowing that you can always turn around is key. So how do you prioritize your pleasure, since we're talking about pleasure forward sex, and it seems that this is something that was amiss during your marriage? How do you put your pleasure front and center in your sexual sojourn now?
To be honest, they say, ask and you shall receive. In my interactions, that's where I start. I like, look, I'm in a selfish phase right now in my life. In the past, I was never prioritized. And so now, that is what me I'm about. Okay. I don't want anybody telling me, do this, do that. Can you do this? No. I'm here to be a princess. I use those words. I'm like, look, me, I'm a princess, so I don't want stress, but I want enjoyment. Okay. So some of them, you know, like for me, that's the initial way me I weed people out. There are some people that are like, but are you just going to lie down there? And once I just hear are you just going to lie down there? Immediately, I beg, I'm not doing it again. But there's been quite a few people that have understood the message that I am communicating. And they're like, you know what? That's my jam. So those kinds of people that are enthusiastic about female pleasure, about your pleasure, that is who you should be gravitating towards. Those ones that want to be doing, it should be a 50-50 split. So most people who are actually really good in this arena and truly understand the dynamics of this arena know that for the most part, you're really not just going to lie down there, okay? They understand that the moment they can get you riled up, they will always get theirs. But when a man already wants to be fronting his own pleasure and doing, aren't you going to do anything, blah, 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 then you already know that this one is going to be a selfish person in this arena, and you don't want to entertain that kind of energy. Okay? And so for me in particular, I always ask that question first, and I always push that and be like, look, I'm a princess. I want to be treated as such. I want my pleasure to be given most of the attention, at least 80% of the time. And I need you to be okay with that. Are you okay with that? And I have to say that I have been lucky. Most people have been okay with that. And I also have to admit that they followed through. When we got there, I felt prioritized most of the time. So for me, if I feel like someone is able to meet me there, I have no issues making further plans with that same person. But if I feel like, you know, on that first interaction, it wasn't really quite it, then I would move on from that individual and not stay there trying to change that person or work on that person. No. I just take what the person has shown me as the face value of what it is. And if it doesn't serve me, I move on. So I feel like there was a point I also wanted to make with this, which is that, to be honest, once I've asked that question that, hey, are you down with me being like a princess here? Um, and we get into the details of, some people are inquisitive. They ask, okay, what does that mean? What is it that you're available to do or not do, and blah, blah, blah. So I find that question, or putting that out there, putting that information out there, it makes the vetting process more fulfilling, if you will, or more effective, because then you can really see where someone's head is at, and you can then make a very, very informed choice as to whether or not this person really knows what it means to prioritize female pleasure. Because, you know, we hear about it all the time of, men talking and then we get there and it's nonsense. But if you're able to ask questions in a way that are kind of off pattern, that kind of throws them off, then they are not able to regurgitate their usual answers that they used to land people, right? So that way your eyes are open, and then you can really see, like, what are they saying? What are they not saying? And then you can make sure that you are only giving access to people that care about your pleasure and would make sure that you are satisfied. Because again, like, let's not do as if we don't know, like, they will always get their own one way or the other, right? So you have to make sure that you're with someone that is very hip to the fact that, there is an orgasm deficit in this world, and this person has to feel personally affronted and want to take personal responsibility in closing that gap. And trust me, if you align yourself with those kinds of people, you will see things where I never see before. You will go places that you have never been before. Trust me. So yeah.
Right. Speaking of closing, what do you have any closing remarks? What are your closing remarks for women and femmes out there who are exploring their sexuality and who specifically are having sex with men?
I think the main thing that I will say is you have to be very clear on what your goals are. For me personally, I can't even lie to you guys. With the way my eye is clear on men and men as a collective, personally, I don't believe any one of them have what it takes to be in a partnership with a person like me. And I, as at now, have made my own peace with that. So now I'm just in this phase where I'm trying to just have fun, peaceful fun, if you will, because I don't want fun and chaos. I want to have fun, but I want the fun to bring me peace too as well. So because I am clear on that goal, I'm able to enter into this casual arena without any fear or hesitation or anxiety of, oh, why I want to find the one. I want someone, I'm not looking for anything serious in that sense. And to be honest, I'm not even trying to, I'm not even hoping for the outcome of, oh, we could be casual and then become serious. Like, I have no goals in mind as I'm in this arena. So I think, in a sense, that gives me a privilege too, because then I can see things for what they are. I don't need to stay too long in any situation that isn't serving me. I can be very quick and calculated in my decisions because I don't have any vested interest or vested stake in any particular outcomes. So I think it might be difficult for people who are looking for something meaningful, long lasting, a lifetime's worth of happiness. I'm not quite sure I'm the best person to advise here. But I will say, be very clear on your goals and do not change your goal to meet the person. If you get what I mean, like, if your goal is here and the person is here, take that for what it is and move on. Don't ever have your goal here, a person is here, and then you're bending the goal to meet the person. Or worse, you're pushing this person to meet the goal. At the end of the day, all you will see there is breakfast,
Tears.
tears, and frustration. And you will still cry shaggy there. Trust me, because the person will still resent you, and one way or the other will lash out. So I just feel, have your goals and only entertain individuals who meet you here with your goals. Okay? Don't ever bend your goals or bend people to meet what your goals are. So I would say, if you want to have fun, by all means, come and join us. We are here and it's possible to have. Okay. But, certainly safety, 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 safety. Prioritize that. That's for sure. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to me share a little bit about my journey in the streets. It's been great to open up this aspect of my life. Honestly, guys, I'm a little bit shy. But I'm happy that I did it because, see, look, as someone who was like a serious church girl, good girl, worker in the church, taking this step now is one of the bravest things that I'm doing with my life. And I am happy that I am being honored with joy in this arena. I have peace. I have pleasure. And I just feel myself being more and more my authentic self in this space. So I'm not ashamed. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Being happy, being asexual, being coming into your full expression, and just having joy. So I'm not embarrassed. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to start all over again, to rewrite a wrong that existed in my life, and to just and to be able to carry you guys along on this journey. So thank you guys for listening to me. And I look forward to sharing more and more about my life and other areas, other aspects. You know, I'm ready. I'm here. Like I told you guys, I am not going to be holding back with you guys. I will share with you guys. So on that note, definitely like, share, subscribe. In the comments, like, I want to hear your voice. Be loud in there because I will read, I will answer. Okay, guys? So thank you again for watching. Bye, warriors.
Bye, warriors.